When it comes to love, you know it makes life worth living. But a truth that's been vocal since day one is love unites. And at Xfinity, we understand love knows no limits. It just clicks. Our largest LGBTQ plus film and TV collection is home to stories that connect. Just say pride into your Xfinity voice remote and tune into all the universal truths that reflect how you love all year long.
This Father's Day, we're celebrating the millions of dads across the U.S. As many know, parenting is no easy job, and each person approaches this role differently. You may have grown up with a father who was always silly, lighthearted, and fully embraced his role as a household prankster. Or maybe your dad was more reserved, serious, and took on more of a traditional role. And maybe your dad was a single parent who spent most of his time juggling work and the house. Every father-child relationship is unique, with each dad having a distinctive way of expressing their love. There are also many people who, unfortunately, didn't grow up with these memories. Maybe their father was in and out of the picture growing up, or just didn't play a role in their life at all. Kenneth Braswell knows this experience firsthand.
I am an African-American male, who grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and understand the challenges of not having a father in my life and seeing the impact of not having involved fathers in my community, with my friends and with my peer circle. But as a practitioner and an advocate, one of the things I am clear about is no matter what kind of dad I'm talking about, the issues are the same. They are struggling with some level of resources, or how do they get over a pain point that is causing an obstacle in them being able to be actively involved in the lives of their children.
Braswell is the CEO of Fathers Incorporated, a not-for-profit that began in 2004 in New York, originally for helping fathers with custody and child support issues. Today, FI works in partnership with social service organizations across the U.S. who help struggling dads. The group also lobbies for social and legislative policies that better support fathers and families. For Braswell, a big part of his job is understanding and identifying these ever-evolving challenges. For example, before the pandemic, social workers were helping a lot of fathers find steady employment. But today, there are new challenges at the forefront.
Now, issues like housing, issues like mental health, issues like parenting and conflict resolution, issues of helping them understand early childhood development and really giving them the tools needed to be more active fathers in the lives of their children in ways that men have never been expected to be. And so today we're looking at a myriad of issues with fathers, and it could be different depending on where I am in the country. I happen to be in West Virginia right now, beginning some training with the West Virginia child welfare workers. And one of the things that we're finding here in West Virginia is the issue of opioid usage and the issue of domestic violence and the issues of transportations. And so more conversations have to take place across discipline, meaning that as a fatherhood advocate, my voice just can't be loud in the fatherhood space. My voice has to be just as loud in the mental health space and the housing space.
Hello, I'm Anthony Anderson. When UNCF, the United Negro College Fund, was founded 80 years ago, they hoped they would change this nation for the better, and they have. As a proud alum of an HBCU, in fact, Howard University, I'm an advocate for HBCUs. I support the work that UNCF does for students of color, scholarships, and internships for 50,000 deserving students each year. Visit uncf.org today, and remember, a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
When it comes to love, you know it makes life worth living. But a truth that's been vocal since day one is love unites. And at Xfinity, we understand love knows no limits. It just clicks. Our largest LGBTQ plus film and TV collection is home to stories that connect. Just say pride into your Xfinity voice remote and tune into all the universal truths that reflect how you love all year long.
These issues can vary widely based on things like the location, population density, economic disparities, average education level in the area, as well as countless other factors. But across the board, these social services are there to help dads navigate common life hurdles while addressing the fact that there's no one-size-fits-all solution.
When you're sitting in a room of dads and there are 25 dads that came in to talk about responsible fatherhood, and if you were to look around the room and try to say that they looked one way or another, you would be wrong 100% of the time because, there'll be a married father in there that is dealing with some issues around being able to see and take care of his children out of another relationship, or you'll see an adopted dad there who has children who he is struggling, trying to figure out how to be a dad in the lives of his children, or you're looking at a low-income person of color from any level of the country, and they're dealing not only with responsible fatherhood issues, but they're also dealing with life. They're dealing with, not having employment and not having the tools. It's very hard to build something without instructions or model behavior.
He also says a big part of his job is also reframing the language and perception of fatherhood to break the mold around what roles a father is supposed to play.
When we talk about nurturing, nurturing has always been a word that has been associated with women and moms and the way that they nurture our children. And because the word has so heavily been used for women when it comes to our children, there's this notion that fathers don't nurture, and that is untrue. Fathers do nurture, we just nurture differently. And so when you're talking about fathers, you have to frame nurturing in a way that it makes sense to allow us to understand how fathers nurture and the things that we can do to help them nurture and the benefit in the kind of nurturing that they do to their children to increase their healthy well-being.
But what happens to this important role when parents aren't in agreement about a father being involved with their child's life? How do the courts decide what's best for a child? Brad Kaye is a longtime divorce and family attorney and partner at Merrill Family Law. He says that as parental roles have expanded, the legal system has largely changed with the times.
I think some time ago, even as early as when I started practicing, it was kind of an understanding that, you would have one parent who had the majority of parenting time, and the other parent, oftentimes the breadwinner of the family, would have more of like every other weekend parenting time and then maybe 1 or 2 nights a week during dinner, but not to be overnights. Since then, I would say there is a trend in trying to get parents more to a 50-50 schedule, equal, if at all possible. I think, there's been a lot of studies and a lot of opinions by judges that whenever possible, if we can have 2 fully involved parents, that's going to be much better for the child in the long run than just having one, right?
Programs like those championed by Braswell are a big part of this shift, despite the hardships that some fathers may face. If they can find assistance and overcome these hurdles, Kaye argues that this shouldn't stand in the way of them being with their children.
I've had many cases where one father who was in and out of jobs had some reported mental health issues, still received 50% of the parenting time after going through, meetings with the child attorneys and a full-blown custody evaluation. It was found that even though there's some issues and some work that this father has to do on himself, that you still have to have the keys to your jail cell, right? And I mean, I know I could have come up with a better analogy there, but if he is found to have had issues in the past, as long as he's taking the steps needed to become a more self-sufficient individual, and while he's going through those steps, he's still able to be a great father, then, why would we take that away from him? Why would we rob the child of something like that?
Braswell says the key to all of this is building a better infrastructure that can adequately provide the support these dads need. Fathers Incorporated has just launched a new online resource called Papa University that has a range of tools and guides for fathers. To find out more about this new initiative and additional links, head to viewpointsradio.org. You can also find out more about Brad Kaye by heading to merrillfamilylaw.com. This segment was written by executive producer Amira Zaveri. Our studio manager is Jason Dickey. I'm Gary Price.